Okay, so welcome to the Tuesday webinar with Supercharging Your Social Media with Lynn and Carly. My name's Lynn O'Connell and Carly Alyssa Thorne, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody, and I know that Stephen and Miriam know me. So basically, I'm with Lynn, and we're doing this wonderful social media webinar to help people learn tools and ways to get good content posted, and also to find the voice of your page. Why do you have your pages?
Exactly, and we've spent the last week, we've gathered your feedback, and we really appreciate everyone taking the time to do that questionnaire. I know everyone's very busy, but that information has helped us quite a bit. And I think Erin just joined us, so welcome, Erin. If you can't hear us, type a note. It can take a minute before you actually can hear us. Although, of course, she wouldn't know that if
Oh,
she can't hear us, so that would be pointless. Um, but okay, so we're gonna proceed to the purpose of today's webinar is to go over the focus of the group moving forward, what we've come to based on feedback from everyone, and what we think will be the best way to approach this. So let me see if I can change slides here. First of all, can you see the slide?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, so Erin is still trying to figure it out. I'm not. It may just be that she has to wait a minute. So you may want to
okay,
type that to her if someone
okay.
doesn't mind.
Mhm.
Um, because we've found that for whatever strange reason when you first log in, it takes a minute before you hear. But okay, so I'm going to try to move to the next slide and we'll see what happens. Okay, so the first thing is based on your feedback. As I said, the focus of the new group, we're going to expand to cover more than just Facebook. We think that makes a lot of sense because a lot of the techniques we're talking about apply equally regardless of whether you're using it on your Facebook page, your Google Plus page, your LinkedIn. Now, obviously, there are platform specific issues, and we are aware of those, and we'll certainly be talking about that as well as we go along. Carly, did you want to talk about this a little bit? Which channels the group was most interested in, and
Yeah, I basically, for a lot of people that have businesses, not just, Facebook is a place to more play and have your presence and all that. And if you have a Facebook page, obviously for a business, it really is going to take a different technique. For example, I've been having lengthy conversations with Scott and his, bug company or pest control. Obviously, Google Plus is going to be a better place for him. Now, oddly enough, some people think that LinkedIn would be good for him, and actually not so much. LinkedIn is great for business to business. However, you look at if you did a search on LinkedIn, for example, for pest control, you're not really going to find people looking for pest control on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is, speakers and producers and directors and coaches. So you have to kind of know what your niche is and what your business is, and then discover what platforms will best serve you. So that is the other reason why we're having this conversation today. We do want to have everyone just briefly say what your intentions are, what are your outcomes that you're choosing to have for your pages, and what you think specifically for you would be the best platform. Because we have our own opinions, obviously, and we coach people about that. I'm working with Scott right now on his social media. So everybody's going to have their own, and it's collaboration. We need your feedback, and then we can also say to you, hey, we think this might work better. You might have an idea what might works better. However, it takes the two-way conversation for us to be able to help you fully. So with that, I would like, because since it's a small group, Stephen, since I can see you actually, why don't you just share with us really briefly about what specifically you're choosing to have as outcomes, a little tiny pithy, short version of what your business is, and then what you think for yourself are your best platforms.
Thank you, Carly. I have two businesses. One is my day job, which is writing software for distributors and manufacturers, and I've been doing that for the last 20 years. Over the last 15 months, I've developed a CRM system, which is called My Message Hub. And just today, it finally got to the stage where I'm happy with it. So that's the thing with software. If the author's not happy with it, then it doesn't go anywhere. Now I'm happy with it, I can start to promote it. So I'm looking to push the message out across Facebook and LinkedIn. The first module is a LinkedIn system. Allows you to store your contacts and to search and to keep in touch with people. And it's free. There will be a professional version, but the initial version is free. So I'm looking to push out on Facebook and LinkedIn, and who knows, Google Plus. Google Plus in the UK is rather quieter than Facebook is. So we'll just have to see how that goes.
And see, so Stephen, what you just said is vitally important. Again, most people don't know, if you're in the United States, there's certain platforms that are going to serve someone better. And obviously, if you're in Europe or if you're in Asia, different platforms are bigger there. So what you said, that's another reason why it's important to have that back and forth feedback. You're in the UK, so you're going to know more, even though we do know that on some level. If you're in a specific area, you're going to see what works better for you as a platform, which is more widely used. And you're right, in your area, Facebook is a lot more used than is Google. So that's what's the great thing about having this discussion. Someone else is on these calls aren't going to know that in the UK, Facebook has a larger presence than Google does. So thank you for sharing that. Miriam, why don't you share with us briefly what your outcomes you're choosing to have and about your businesses?
Basically, what I'm hoping to do in the end is do social media coaching. So I think, honestly, Facebook and LinkedIn are the best platforms for me, even more so than Google Plus. That's just my opinion, because, like you said, it's Facebook is more populated.
So I'm going to touch a little bit on that. Understanding with the search graph, Facebook is attempting to be, in essence, a new Google. The reason why they're doing that new search bar and everything is they're hoping that people will type into those search bars, searching for social media coaches, searching for life coaches. So agree that Facebook definitely I think is a better platform for people that are coaches, consultants, and what have you. And it is still, here's the thing, this will be much further down in the course, but Google authorship and forming Google communities does raise your ranking on Google. And if you actually form a specific phrase or get coined as known for something specifically, when they search on the Google search engines, for example, life coaching, you'll be a lot higher up. So having a community in Google Plus and all that is important.
It's a bit, it's a bit premature right now for that.
Exactly, it is premature.
I think.
Just so everyone knows, so we're not stumbling over each other, as Lynn said at the beginning, Miriam, I don't know if you heard it, there's a 3-minute delay. So before anybody answers, just pause, breathe, and count to 3.
That's actually
okay, no problem.
3 seconds, not 3 minutes.
No, 3 seconds, sorry.
No problem.
And just to hop in on Google Plus, that's something we'll talk about. Google Plus is not active at all as a community for most of our areas. It's very active for certain communities, but I don't think for most of what we do. However, as Carly said, it can be hugely important for where you rank in the search ratings. So what we will be talking about is how you may want to pick out certain articles or postings to carefully post there, because those will often end up being what comes up on the top page of Google searches for you. That becomes important.
And I'm working, obviously, a lot of you don't know, I work with some other pretty big social media people, and so I kind of get inside notices as to what's going on in the social media world from the actual big people, like at different headquarters. And so the reason why I'm bringing up Google now is, even though you don't have to have a huge presence on Google, it is extremely vitally important that you start to just plant the seeds. Create your community. If you're not doing anything with it right now, create your community and be somewhat active on Google, because there's going to come a point where Google authorship is going to soar and the communities are going to soar. So I've already planted the seeds. I started my group I'm not doing anything massively active with it, except I am posting about every couple days, and I am doing other certain little planting of seeds and getting my authorships in place for that, because when it goes, it's going to go, and it'll be huge, and then it'll be too late. So if you don't coin your community now, you won't be able to get it later.
I
So
already have one. I
Good,
already have
good.
one on
That's
Google
excellent.
Plus. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we also have Erin on the call. Erin, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, that's great.
Yay!
So if you could just take a minute to give us a quick oversight of your page and what you're thinking about doing with it, which channels you think are most important for you at this time.
I'm actually not sure. I actually have a lot going on right now. So I haven't had time to really think about it. But one of my pages is going to be for my blog, and the other one is more personal, and I haven't really defined any goals for that yet.
Okay, and you're taking courses as well, correct?
Yeah, I'm just taking 2 classes right now.
Right, so you're busy. You've got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Now, Erin, you also said you were attempting, one of your pages is going to be for social media. Is that correct?
Uh, for my blog, yeah.
Okay, so now that's a distinction. So it's going to be, the page is going to be for your social media blog or for social media services?
Uh, just for my blog.
Okay,
Okay.
so then what is going to be on your blog?
Uh, I haven't really defined that yet either. So everything's pretty much still new.
Oh,
Uh,
we've all been there.
Yeah.
so it's probably gonna be
So Erin, what you'll probably be good is, I'll probably reach out to you, or Lynn will reach out to you, and we'll probably have a conversation to help you steer you a little bit and help brainstorm a little bit so that you can get a little more defined on that, okay?
I think
Okay.
Erin, oh, there she is. I was going to say she had been cutting in and out for a bit. But okay, we also have Malcolm with us today. Malcolm, what
Yay!
time is it where you are? Is this a better time or a worse time for you?
It's not too bad actually. Anywhere between it's about say 7:15 here.
Ah, so
So
early.
can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, good. So 7:10. This time's actually ideal for this sort of period for me.
Excellent.
Actually, 10 o'clock finishing 11 twice a week. I'm starting to get a bit tiring because I have been getting up quite early recently for doing different things, and
Sure. Sure.
but I mean that's why I've had to basically jump off at 11.
Yeah.
But 11 o'clock is 10 to 11 is like doable.
Excellent. That's why we want to go to 2 different times for the 2 webinars to try and make
That
Yes,
way
I
everyone
totally
can
agree. That's
attend.
brilliant. I do like the fact that this is a lot earlier. But I don't have the problem with the 10 o'clock one. It's just that coming 11 o'clock, I'll just be pretty well jumping straight up so I can, get ready and get some sleep.
Yeah, sleep's important. But okay,
So,
so if you
so can you share, like what everyone else did, just briefly about what you're choosing to have as outcomes for your pages and what your
Yeah,
business is?
basically, my outcome is to become known as a life coach, helping and encouraging people to change their lives for the better, in a nutshell. And I'm wanting to build up confidence from people with the Facebook page so that when I introduce my services and also introduce other things, that people will have the confidence to pay me and also get some of the courses that I recommend.
absolutely, yeah, and you're off to a great start with your page. So
I've actually just recently had a new high of just over 7,500 people talking about
it's excellent.
my page,
And
and
your
that's all
page,
within less than 4 weeks.
yeah, that's what I was saying. It hasn't been long at all, so that's impressive. A lot of people are on Facebook for a year and don't achieve that. So you're off to a running
Yeah,
start. So
okay, I've got to do something right.
yeah, oh, absolutely. And your content is very shareable, which helps. You know,
Well,
you
the other thing is that because of this group, I'm where I am.
Oh, thank you, thank you. We have tried to make it as to do everything we can to support you. So I'm glad to hear it's working. That's
Oh, big time.
okay.
So let's get in also into Lynn, can you, since you have the slides, can we get on to the next slide? And
Yes, I just moved it. And we actually just talked about the outcomes part of this. But the other thing we want to shift is we will continue. Obviously, EdgeRank is important, growing your fan base is important, getting likes is important. But we also want to place more emphasis on getting the right likes and the right fans. That's particularly important for people in certain kinds of businesses. For example, my Feline Foundation page, while it has content that is of can be of use to cat lovers anywhere, the outcome the Feline Foundation wants is to place cats in the DC, Virginia, Maryland area. So obviously, getting a base of people who can share cats in that geographic area is important. My business page, O'Connell Meyer, we in my day job I market to large national associations, and so reaching those 400 or 500 decision makers is most important to me. Scott, we've talked about with his pest control company, certainly has both regional and specific topical issues. So in addition to getting the edge rank power, getting ourselves into the news feed, which we can all support each other in doing, we're also going to go into strategies about how to get, for those in more niche industries, how to get more specific fans that address your, that will help you reach your outcomes. Is there
I
anything you
also
want to
want to,
add to that?
yeah, what I'd like to add to that is, now when we say shift our focus on likes and fans, I also want to emphasize this is not a like-a-thon. What's going to help your edge rank is engagement. That means communication, putting comments
Comments,
and
yeah.
shares. Just doing like, and I'm going to bring up something else that actually just happened with people that we all know. Someone just recently got blocked on Facebook and Google. And you're going to start seeing a lot more of this. If you post 5 or 6 things in a row, or for example, if you go in a like-a-thon and you go through every single person's page and just go like, you will get blocked. Because what they're doing with the algorithms now is they realize there are social media groups. They realize that there are people that are running, and this actually even goes back further. I've done a little more investigation as to something that's happened the other day, and this even goes into EA. They know that Empire Avenue is running missions to drive traffic to places. And so you're going to start seeing more and more people getting banned for up to 36 hours and longer. Okay. If you go on to, so if you're in a group and you know, you're going they, and you'll see a message from Facebook now that'll actually pop up and said, you've liked too many things. We will, and they'll actually stop you. They'll actually say you can't post any more likes. They'll actually say you can't post any more comments. So you really have to, I mean, this isn't a marathon. You don't have to do all the tasks in 15 minutes. You could, get up in the morning and do a little bit. Go back to your work, go back to your business day, do whatever you need to do. And if you have time, if you have a mobile device, do a little bit. If you don't have access to your mobile device during the day, then it's going to be morning and night for you possibly, or it's going to be a team collaboration. You might have somebody that's willing to do a little bit of your social media with you. Okay, so it really has to be more than likes. It has to be comments and shares.
Yeah.
And you're going to start seeing more and more people getting mad because you're going to see more and more of this blocking.
Yeah.
And they're getting also really hard about this accepting friendships with people that you don't know. They're actually asked now, when you actually friend somebody, it'll actually say, do you know this person outside of Facebook?
And
So
do
they're
not
really starting to
answer.
crack down, huh?
Do not answer that question. When you see
Right.
that, do you know this person outside Facebook? Just ignore the question. If you tell them no, it triggers the algorithm.
Yes, it
That's
does.
something some of you know I used to play Mafia Wars. I was one of those people obsessed with that for a while. And there was a huge problem because Facebook was on a huge mission to try and stop people from being friends with people they had not personally met in person. And of course, when they see people who have friends all around the world, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out you probably have not met all of those people. And so Facebook has relaxed that a little bit from where they were a couple of years ago. But one key thing to remember with Facebook is we're giving you some guidance and things to think about, but you don't have to get too freaked out about it because Facebook will warn you.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
they're not going to just block you. You'll start to see messages like, you're liking too fast, or you've added too many people, or you'll start to see that question, do you know this person on Facebook or outside Facebook, on every person. The other thing to be aware of is if you choose not to accept someone as a friend, it's better to just ignore it, to click the ignore, than it is to say, no, I don't know them, because that will count against that person. Now, if it's one of those spammers who wants to, I don't know, sell you a Nigerian gold mine, then sure, mark them that way. But if it's just, you've hit your limit and you don't want to add a whole lot more friends, then ignore is a safer choice. But the people who are being banned right now are people who have been, I would say, really, what would you say, Carly, in terms of posting? 30,
Well,
40
unfortunately,
posts
people don't
a
like
day?
this word, but and what they're really cutting down on is the gamification. And now gamification isn't a bad word. However, in the social media circle, there is a lot of gamification, and so they really are cutting down on that. And just to be really clear, what we're talking about just in it's not just happening in Facebook. You're going to find the same thing on Google, even on Empire Avenue. They're starting to crack down. So it's not just Facebook. So I know a lot of times we talk about Facebook. However, a lot of things that we're teaching you or telling you really apply across all of social media. These are things that you should be doing on all your platforms. You shouldn't be on EA just doing mission after mission after mission. You shouldn't be, it's the same thing across any platform. It's supposed to be social media. It's supposed to be engagement, communication, building relationships and rapport. Because here's the thing, if you do all that, people will unfollow you and they're not going to see anything you do anyway. That's why people get blocked, because they don't listen when people say please. And I encourage everybody, if you're having an issue with somebody, before you do something stupid like blocking someone or unfriending someone, go in an inbox, say to them, hey, I really appreciate that you're tagging me in all these pictures and all this. However, I'm just going to ignore the tags, whatever. Tell them what your policy is. Everybody has their own dogma for their page. Mine are, I don't post jokes, I don't put anything religious, anything overtly sexual. And I don't let people tag me constantly. I'll inbox a person saying, I really appreciate the picture. It's really beautiful. However, can you please not tag me every day? If you want to tag me, maybe tag me once a week. And I tell them the type of tag I want. If you are going to tag me once a week, have it. My page is about positivity, empowerment, and inspiration. And usually they'll email you back and go, I'm so sorry, no problem, I'll untag you, or I won't tag you. Have the conversation. Don't just beat someone up when you don't really know. Maybe they were just, naive. They don't realize that this isn't a great tactic to do. People are not mind readers. Not everybody's a bad person or a spammer.
Right.
Now, obviously, you can tell. I can personally tell, and I'm sure you can tell the tail signs of a spammer. If you're a female and a guy friends you, if you look at his friends and all you see is they're all females, that's a spammer. It's someone that's attempting something. No different than if you see a female and you see all male friends, you're actually going to see that sometimes, it is someone that's fake. Take a look at the page. Take a look at the friends. That's going to tell you a lot if they're a spammer or not. What is their content? Do they have a mix of friends? Not all females, not all males, and that's going to tell you a lot.
And are they friends with your friends? I mean, that's a critical
Exactly.
thing as well. And so in general, though, I would say, the more you engage, the more you make comments, the more you share things, uh, the better, because that's the kind of engagement that Facebook, for example, is rewarding. So definitely, and even, a comment can just be, oh, I love this, great photo, thanks for posting. It doesn't have to be a thesis. So The other thing just to be aware of is that the people you interact with the most are the ones that in turn you'll see the most on your newsfeed.
Mhm.
So that's another thing to
Mm.
think about when you do Empire Avenue missions, is that there are some people who run missions all the time, and some of those are for great things that I don't mind seeing. Some of them may be for selling certain kinds of things that I don't want to see all the time, so I'm more likely to skip that mission. Even though it may offer a lot of ease, I just don't want to be seeing it all the time. So, anyway, so why don't we move on to the next topic
Yeah,
here?
just touching on EA though, she said a very valid point. When you're doing Empire Avenue missions, which by the way are great for driving traffic. However, check, usually on the Empire Avenue there's a link. You can go check the link first to see if it's something you want to promote. I always put in mind now what is good, what it is, so you don't even have to click on the link. So you want to be more specific on your Empire Avenue mission, saying this is what if you're choosing to take this mission, this is what it's for. And so don't just click on a mission and because it says 10,000 views, take it. Find out what the mission's for. If it's something that it's a positive quote, it's, something that's inspiring to you and it's in alignment with what you do, great. But if your Twitter feed has all these retweets that have nothing to do with what you normally do, they're going to know that you're just doing Empire Avenue missions. People are not stupid or naive. Especially now people are starting to find out more about Empire Avenue and about all the different platforms. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, so it's like anything else. I think you want to find your community within Empire Avenue. Maybe community is the wrong word because not you don't necessarily have to join a group, but you'll get a feel for which people do the kinds of things that are a match for you. But okay, so moving on, we're on a webinar right now, so you figured obviously know that we do them. But as we mentioned earlier, we're going to change to two different times during the week. So Tuesdays will be at this time, which is 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. in the UK, I guess. Uh, and then Thursdays it'll be 2 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific time. No, I did that wrong, didn't I, Carly?
No, it's yeah, it's 2 p.m. It's on Thursdays. It's 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Right. I
Just
screwed that
reverse
up.
them.
No, I will fix this information for the group. So on Thursdays, it's basically the time we've been doing in the past, 5 p.m. Eastern, which is 2 p.m. Pacific. And I also put a link in the group to one of those time zone calculators, so that you can figure out what time zone uh, we're talking about. Because with so many different areas, it's hard for us to list them all, or it becomes a whole long thing. We've also set up one announcement thread, and what we'd like to ask is that we not use that for chat, because a lot of people have their threads set to get little, a bing, 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 and they don't want to hear that every time somebody makes a comment. So what we'd like to do is have reserve that announcement thread for webinar links, reminders right before the webinar, and then daily actions. So and then any discussion, which we all, we encourage discussion, but that will move into the group.
Yeah, so just to clarify what she's talking about, there's a group email. That group email is strictly reserved for telling you we're having a webinar today. Here's today's daily action. Because some people's, like for example, my Facebook is programmed only to send me a ding on my iPhone if it's an inbox. I don't get notifications of what's going on in the groups, what's going on in the Facebook feeds and all that. It's just for inboxes. So that's why we're just using that group inbox just for those vital things. It's a webinar. Here's today's daily action. So someone's busy, they can see it on their phone. The group is where we're going to obviously still post when we're having our webinars and also the daily action. However, the daily action has a task. It'll say, post your link to your question, or post the link to your pick quote, or post the links that you're going to go play on today. That all needs to be in the group feed, not in the private inbox feed. That's where we're distinguishing.
Yeah, and I went ahead and flipped to the next slide on the we're viewing the group as the heart of the community. And I think the other key thing, and Carly, you may want to address this, is that we really want to build a community collaborative environment where we can all learn from each other, because I may have great experience with one, pick quote program. Malcolm may have great experience with another. Raphael may bring in another. And the more we pool that knowledge and share, the faster we all learn. So we really want to encourage everyone to be contributing information and feeling free to do that. And we'll talk in a minute about some of the resources within the group. But Carly, if you could just address sort of that spirit of collaboration and community.
Yeah, a collaboration, and the reason why I use instead of I'm going to give you a little, and I've talked to Miriam a lot about this in terms of NLP and communication and words. And Malcolm, you've seen some of my pick quotes where I say the power of words. Now, when you hear the word group, group has an energy of it's us telling you what to do. And that's why we're actually changing the verbiage from group to community. So the new group is not, it's not a group anymore. It's a community. When you hear community, you feel, okay, you feel a sense of family. You feel a sense of team. You feel a sense of collaboration. It's no different than having a CEO who dictates. Group, when people hear the word group, it's like, okay, I'm in a group and there's a leader of the group and they're going to tell me what to do. That's sheeple, not people. We don't want sheeple. We want people that want to co-collaborate with us, share with everybody as a group. And the next slide will go into that we've created within the group all these files, and it's organized, so you can then go in there and go, these are my tools that I use for creating content or curating content. Okay, here's the things I use to actually create the content, what pick software I use. And also that we're going to add to that, when you do put your resources in there, say, is it a free resource? Is it a paid resource? Because some people don't want to pay for resources. They just want resources that are free. So you're just going to put your link to whatever resource it is, put it in the category that is all in there nice and neat in files, and then put by it. Is it free? Is it paid? Now, sometimes there's a free trial, and sometimes there's a lower subscription and a higher subscription. So just tell people so they know, and that way they don't have to do all this research and everything. Let's be really helpful to one another. Really share our ideas, our knowledge, and not be afraid to share it. It's not like if I don't share what I know that you're going to go steal it and then run away and go take it someplace. No, the universe is an abundant universe, and there's plenty of business, friendships out there everywhere. So let's really act as a community and support each other.
Yeah, and building on the resources, which we'll come up on a slide on in a minute. The other thing to think about is that that's a growing sort of database of knowledge or knowledge base. And so, for example, if you use a program and you find a trick, or you realize, oh, it always outputs the wrong size unless I go in and make a change, you can also go in and just put a little tip. Make sure you check the size settings before you output or whatever. And that way we don't all have to reinvent the wheel and discover everything ourselves. So, okay, moving on. The
And I'm
next
going to
one.
address something she just brought up. I'll give you an example. PicMonkey,
Mm.
if you put in 536 by 536, it's gonna be too big. The funny part is not all not all photo programs act the same. Now the one I use, if I put 536 by 536, it comes up perfectly on every single one I do. Okay, now my older ones, some of them are wider because it was for some of my video stuff, and so I forgot when I was posting them that those are my video ones, not my my pick quotes. Um, so when I use the one I use, ipiccy.com, yeah, I can put in 536 by 536 and it's fine. Now, if I go to PicMonkey and put 536 by 536, it's way too big for Facebook. So that's the other thing that you're going to have to play with. If you do one in a certain platform, go check it on Facebook first before you go making a ton of them. Because 536 by 536 on one may not be the same on another. Now, and then if you go import it into your desktop or whatever software you use, and then you go resize image and hit 536, it again might not be the same.
Right.
So, so just when you choose a software that you like to make your pick quotes, do one, check it on Facebook and see if it works. That way you can reduce the size or do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, and on PicMonkey, just since we talked about it, 402 by 402 is the best choice there.
And
And
that will you put that in the resource page, right? And that's a good tip. So if you're putting a PicMonkey, put 402 by 402. By mine, I'm going to put 536 by 536. So you know what sizes are going to work.
Yeah, the other thing we're going to be needing to explore together over the next couple of months, as more and more people are using mobile, the images come up a different size on mobile than they do on the desktop Facebook. And so we may need to think about, or we do need to think about that as well. But all right, we're moving on to the action step of the day, which uh, I know over the last week we've been a little bit repetitive with our actions because we were running around focusing on how to organize the group. But we will be doing a mix of things, but some of them you'll see fairly often. As we've talked about, it's to your advantage to use photos, ask questions, that type of thing. So the example that's here is one that you'll see fairly regularly. And but just a couple, I think most of you have seen the daily actions, but just going back into the mechanics of that, what you want to do is we'll post the daily action in the group, we'll post it in the announcement thread. If it's something that's asking you to put a link, then go ahead and put your link in the comment thread under the image that you see, not in the announcement thread, not somewhere else on the page, so that we can all see it. And then, as much as possible, if you can like each person's as you do it. I know for me that helps me remember which ones I did, because I tend to come back a couple times through the day because I don't like to blast, a bunch of things all at once. Um, and on ones that don't require you to place a link, you may still want to just post a comment. For example, sometimes we'll say go visit 2 pages, whatever. If you post which ones you visited, then the rest of us know, well, okay, let's go visit someone else. And that can help us all, again, collaborate. And then the final thing is, as much as possible, if you do post a link, please try to participate in that thread. We recognize that not everyone is going to participate every day and that real life and family come first. And sometimes things happen. I know, that's happened to me in groups too. But as a general rule, if you've posted your link, for example, you've posted a picture and a question, and you're asking people to go answer your question, try to go answer theirs as well. And even sometimes if you lose track of the day, and it doesn't hurt to go back and answer it the next day. You can always catch up if need be. But again, the world won't end if you don't come in every day, although certainly the more you come in, the better. But we are looking to create a group that's respectful of your time, that understands that we all have other commitments as well. So, okay, the next one.
And Lynn, just real quickly, for future reference, just because I know it's confusing to people, where it says announcement thread, let's put dash inbox, because seriously,
Okay.
a lot of people don't know what an announcement thread is. I've been through this many times. So just put, inbox dash announcement thread. So the announcement thread is the group inbox we've created.
Right.
Just to be really crystal clear about
And what
that.
I'll do, I'll go through and put some of these notes onto this, convert it to a PDF, and then I'll upload the PDF to the group so we have it as a reference. And for, a lot of people couldn't be here today. So, okay. What we have on this slide is just like in the previous group, we have an interest list created, and we've given you a tiny URL you can use to subscribe if you have not already. And I just a couple times a day I go through looking for things that fit one of my pages that I can share. And also I try to comment, engage. Um, but as we've discussed at some length in last month, that's even though you can follow the list from your page, you can't as easily manage it and use it the same way. So we've also created within the group a page called, I think it's called member links and something, but we've given you a tiny URL here so that you can save that, and when you're logged in as your page, you can just click, well, if you have two browsers open, you can click it open in one and then have your page open in the other and sort of copy and paste back and forth. Or you can go through and copy it into a text document. And what I'll do sometimes is just run through and open a bunch of pages and tabs. And that way I can go through and spread some love around the page, not just whatever post is up that day. And then the final thing is, in keeping with broadening the scope of the group, we want to try and connect around the web. So in the files section, you'll find a page called Members Connect, You on Social Media. And if you go into that, you can add your social media links, your blogs, your sites, your Google Plus, your Twitter, whatever you want to add. And that way, over the next week or two, we all want to take a few minutes and let's get connected around the web.
Hmm.
And adding to that, what we'll be doing is the daily actions, they're not all going to be specifically Facebook. We will be adding a daily action, like specifically, especially for blogs, because blogs is really important. Our blogs are literally where we do get the traffic, where we do get the business from. And, we do get the comments and the shares. So we will be doing action steps also about blogs. And I'm also thinking, a lot of the other groups I manage, we have Twitter twice a week and all this. I'm thinking at least once a week we'll do a Twitter where you can pick, a specific a Twitter link to a specific post you want shared. Let's say you have a blog that's out, or you have an event, or your book just got released, or you have a special pick quote that means a lot to you. You can put that up on get your link from Facebook or whatever platform that particular thing is on, and post that into Twitter. And then when you click on, and we'll do a slide with you and walk you through how to, if someone doesn't know, and once you post it on Twitter, how do you get the link for other people to share, to retweet that. So it basically is, once you do your Twitter, if you click on it, you'll see further down, it'll say details, and you click on details, it gives you the link specifically to that Twitter posting. So we'll do like a one slide frame or a screen share, and we'll show you how to do that if anyone does not know how to create their Twitter, that one particular post, and then how to get that specific link.
Right.
And so that'll be nice. So some of the action steps are, we'll have at least one Twitter, and we'll create a hashtag for the group, and then we'll have at least one blog day, because that's so important. And the rest is going to be more centered. We do want to encourage Facebook, because a lot of people are needing that. However, we will have a blog day. We'll deal with Twitter, and I think that in some cases we can, like I said, because there are so many platforms, we can't reach all the platforms, obviously. I think, like I said, we discussed the biggest platforms we'll be focusing on will be Google Plus, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And we'll have a Twitter day, and because blogs are just so vitally important to our traffic and people getting to know us, because our blogs share who we are. They share our passions. They share our intellect. We're writing about things that we know about. We're writing about our causes. Lynn might be writing about her feline foundation. Miriam may be writing about her social media services. Malcolm may be writing a piece about inspiration and empowerment. I may be writing a piece on God knows what, because I'm a lot of different things. It could be an empowerment, it could be on paying it forward. You know what I'm saying? The blogs are vitally important to people getting to know who you are. So if you do not have a blog, anyone who does not have a blog, I want you to inbox us in the group. Reach out to Lynn and I and say, hey, I don't have a blog. I'd like to learn how to create my blog. In other words, how do I get started with a blog? So if anyone does not have a blog or needs help with their blog, understanding a little more about their blog, just privately inbox us so we can help steer a little attention your way to help you. That's the thing. Everybody who's on this call, if there's something that you specifically need help on that you're having trouble with, whether it be a very specific niche or area on Facebook that you don't understand that you need help with, or it's something on Google, whatever you need help on, we're not mind readers. Yes, we're going to be teaching. Yes, we're creating content every week. However, if there's something specifically that you need to learn or need help on, inbox us that. That way we can go, okay, next webinar, we're going to touch on that subject that someone brought up, that, hey, I don't know how to do that. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know. And guess what? If we don't know, we'll do the research and find out.
Yeah.
We're not superhuman either.
Right.
Okay,
And we
so
can bring in guest speakers.
Oh,
right.
man, Carly, you've just totally blown me now.
You know, but it's true and it's funny. I'm very honest
Yeah.
with my clients. If I don't know the answer, I'll say, you know what? I'm not 100% sure. Let me go do my research and I'll get back to you. And I've done that. I go, okay, and I'll get back to them in an hour. Or I'll email them saying, hey, I got the answer. I've consulted with some of my people, and this is what I've been told is the best way to do this. So don't be afraid to ask. And here's the thing, as a group, if I don't have the answer, Lynn doesn't have the answer, Malcolm may have the answer. If Malcolm has the answer, Miriam might have the answer. If the others, maybe Stephen has the answer. Somebody within the group will know somebody that knows the answer.
Exactly. And
So
we can
don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've already done that, Carly, because I was looking for somewhere where I could just get some free music. So I wanted to start getting some videos done, and
Right.
some background music would be nice. And then I was getting links off Lynn, off Miriam, off Raphael. It's like,
Yep.
yes, brilliant, and all within literally minutes. The
Right.
speed was just brilliant.
There's a site that I'll be sharing on the site that I haven't created. It's called videoblog.com. It is a paid service. It's like $99 for the whole year. But however, it's royalty-free music and intros and outros. So they actually have professional intros to your video and professional outros to your video. And a lot of my people that when we do video production, we actually use those services for getting intros and outros. So it's not just the music. They're also helping you with the intros and outros. In other words, they'll help you with the imagery along with the music. And so that one's called videoblog.com, and I'll put that link in there today. That one,
Okay.
it is a paid service, and it's worth it. It's so worth it. It's incredible.
And let me just jump in, reference the thread Malcolm was talking about. That's an example of the kind of collaboration we'd like to see more of in the group, and we are starting to see more of, is where, we can post questions, we can share ideas. The kind of framework we're outlining in this webinar is really about what creates the structure, but then within the group, there's a daily action, but we can also have threads of discussion. We can be helping each other find things and whatever. This is intended to be a live, vibrant, collaborative community. But we're starting to run low on time, so we need to go a little
Yeah,
faster.
so I'm sorry. So it's called Video Blocks, not blog. I just put the link in the chat, and we'll also add it to the resources.
All right, excellent. Okay, so we only have about 10 minutes, so let's try and run through the rest of this. Carly referenced this earlier. These are the resources shared by the community. And some people don't completely get this, but there's a file section in the community. So you'll see the menu bar at the top of the page within the group. And if you click on that and go into it, that's where you'll find the members' links and lists. You'll find a bunch of different resources with more to come. But right now, for example, content, which we'll talk about in a minute too, is a topic that came up from a lot of people during the surveys. So we've got a resource page up about finding and curating content. We have the Members Connect page we talked about earlier, resources for creating visual content, uh, and so on, tools and apps. And so there'll be a lot of growth there. And just one note is we definitely want to encourage conversation within the group. But when we do see a thread start to go and people are making suggestions here and there, if you can just take a minute and try to add that tip or site or resource to one of the files, that makes it a lot easier for people to find it 6 months from now when they go, what was that? What was that site that y'all recommended? It's a whole lot easier to find in the files than it is to find a 6-month-old conversation thread.
Okay, so I added it into the group, and I actually put $99 a year. A tidbit on that one also, I hear that there's a free trial, and apparently if you cancel after the free trial, they'll actually don't want to lose your sale. They'll actually even lower it more. They'll drop it to 80% of whatever. So you might be even get it less than 99.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good kind of thing too. There's other sites will do the same thing. So as we all figure that out. But okay, so moving on to the next thing, which I think might be close to we're getting close to the end of it. We wanted to talk just very briefly about content, as that's one of the areas we're expanding the group into. Uh, we had already been covering creating and sharing content. So I'm not going to go through and read you every bullet point on this, but we've talked a lot about shareable content. We will continue to do that. We'll continue to explore different ways to learn from each other about what we see working and not working. And we'll be talking in a minute about developing the voice for your page, like which content is best for you, and creating visual looks and feels. But some of the newer things we'll be covering, uh, how to plan ahead. For example, with a site like PicMonkey, it's much faster to go through and create 7 pics at once than it is to go back and do it 7 times. Because when you think about just the time involved in logging in, getting it set up, whatever, especially if you're using comment frames or backgrounds, it's definitely faster to do it at once. So a little bit of pre-planning can save you a tremendous amount of time. And then as we broaden into talking about a wider range of social media, we're going to be talking about how to create editorial calendars to help you manage your pages and your various social media channels. And Carly referenced something earlier about that you might want to do a tweet that pulls a graphic from your Facebook page that possibly links to your blog, so that there can be ways to cross connect some of this content. And we'll talk about that as well. There can also be ways that some people will choose to focus all of their channels on the same topic every day. Others will rotate it, so each of the things are talking about different things. And one of the really good things is after you've been doing, say, a blog or your Facebook page for that matter, for longer, what you'll find is that you will develop some what we call evergreen content, that it doesn't become dated. You can reuse it again 8 months from now, and add a new angle, or you know perhaps it was a blog post, you send out a tweet directing people back to it. You'll see some sites, what's the guy, jeffbullis.com, who has the social media how-tos. He does a lot of that, where he's got new content coming in every week, but he also is referring back to things that were written 6 months or a year ago. So anyway, the other big area is that we'll go into is managing and curating content. This is where things like Scoop It and Paperly and all of the various reader sites. This is way too big a topic for us to go into in much detail right now, but it is something we probably will either dedicate a webinar to, or perhaps we'll do a little focus uh, section of curation site of the day on each webinar or something. We'll be exploring what's the best way to structure some of this as we move forward. And then as far as automation goes, we've talked a lot that automation within Facebook, you want to use the Facebook automation. With Twitter and some of the other sites, there are things you can do to schedule some of your content, not all of it, because you want to be online and engaging and interactive. But and there are different viewpoints. Some of us are more okay with automation than others, and that's okay too. You'll get to hear both sides of it, and so we'll move forward from there. But this is a topic we'll go into much more depth about in the future, and we only have 5 minutes. So I'm thinking, Carly, the next slide should. I don't know. I lost it. Sorry. Let me go back to that slide, and then Carly can talk about the other really important.
Yeah, and actually, there's going to be one webinar that's going to be all about this. What we're talking about is I'm going to help you find your voices for your pages. And not only that, I'm going to teach something that I normally only teach in a special course that I teach. And I'm actually going to be teaching you a little bit about color, language, what words In other words, this is it's basically it's multi-platforms. It's teaching a little bit of NLP, teaching a little about hypnotherapy, teaching a little bit about linguistics, a little bit about color. Color for traditional marketing is very different, and they're finding out more and more what colors actual people register. That's why you see blue here, not black ink. So I'll be talking about black inks and red inks, why they're not colors you should be using, even in a picture. We'll be talking about what colors people register more, what some of the colors mean, what are some of those vibrational aspects of it, because I'm actually going to be doing a book actually, which is actually about color, feng shui, NLP, and all that, and marketing for the new times. It's very fascinating when you actually get into it, and that also will get into your voice, talking about your voices for your pages. And so that's just going to be like, seriously, that's one webinar in itself, because it's pretty in depth, because you really do get into the different colors, the whys of the colors, the wordings, why we use and instead of buts, and we don't use TRY, and we don't use the shouldas, couldas, wouldas, all these different things. They're very empowering messages, and also why we ask questions. I'll give you a quick little snippet that'll give you a nugget for later. They've actually, if they hook you up with electrodes on your brain, and they put you in a PET scan or a CAT scan, and they ask you a math question before they put you to sleep, and they'll record your brain activity all night long, your brain will actually go to the part that solves math, attempting to solve that math problem all night long. So that is why, like, you'll see the pages are going to be changing. The tabs will say who, why, what, when, where. When we ask a question, it engages the mind. The mind wants, it abhors emptiness. It needs to fill it. So if you ask a question, your brain will go to work attempting to solve the question. So when we're dealing with clients or we're doing pick quotes, that's why you see me asking questions a lot. Because the questions are always going to have the person have to go to a place to go, wow, I never thought of that. Or let me go find the answer to that. Or let me explore that. So the wording we use on our pick quotes are vitally important. The words we use on our text is vitally important. It's going to repel or attract. It's going to bring questions up, or they're going to be like, next. So it's going to give you more retention on your page, more engagement on your page. But again, that's
yeah, I've noticed that myself, Carly, since I've started putting questions that
yes,
I've seen the reach is just going right out. Even though it might be not direct answers, the question itself is actually going out to a reach which surprised me, actually.
But now here's the other caveat to that. What questions are we asking? So I'm going to be really working with you guys on, it's not just asking questions. What questions are we asking? Because again, what questions we are asking is a whole nother platform. Like literally, NLP, neurolinguistics, wording, the words we use is massively impactful. So now if you take those keywords and you put them into your questions, imagine the engagement more you're going to have. So the more we start to tailor our questions with powerful words that engage, the more engagement we're going to have. Okay, and again, and then you add in, so we tweak the words a little bit, we play with the colors a little bit, and then you're going to have you're going to start to see a much different impact. So again, that'll be Lynn. I'll be working with Lynn on putting together a PDF, if you will, of some of that, so you have something to look at, so that you don't have to remember everything. And it actually is really funny. I'll give you one really quick little. I know it's time up, and I'm going to give you one little fun way of, and I've done this with my clients. We create jars in our house, and we tell our clients every time they say the words TR, and that's why I don't even say it, TRY or BUT or I can't. They put money in the jar, and not only do they put money in the jar, they do this with the whole family now. They do push-ups. Now think about this. Every time you said the word try, and I just said it, I normally say TRY, and you did push-ups, your body then creates a physiological anchor going, oh my God, every time I say that word, I got to do push-ups. And let me tell you, when you start doing those little nuances, you will start, remember, the first thing is catching yourself saying the words. And then it becomes, oh my God. And now occasionally I'll say BOT, but you'll hear me say it very infrequently. And if I do say, I immediately will say and. So it's really interesting once I give you those key words and you start paying attention, because you hear everybody saying them. the more you hear people say them, you will start to say them again, and you're like, "Oops, I caught myself," you know. And then you start implementing doing the money jar. Then you get to use the money for something fun at another time, or you do the push-ups. Let me tell you, in one conference weekends, eons ago, years and years and years ago, early 2000s, I did over 200 push-ups in a weekend because I kept saying TRY. And if you were like, if they gave you the mic to, you had to address an answer, they would only say to you, "Oh, okay, I think it's time for you to go push-ups." You would have to leave the aisle, hand the mic back, and do 25 push-ups. So let me tell you, after 200 push-ups, I was vitally acutely aware of the words I wasn't and was not going to be using. So anyways, I think we'll end with that. Anyways, that's something
Let me
fun.
jump in with just a couple things on that. I think going back to your point, Malcolm, with the question, and you were surprised by the reach and how much it was shared and the virality of it. I think it's the it's a living example of engagement. When we simply post, "Here's our wise words," we're we're telling. We're saying we know this. When we ask a question, we're saying, "Well, what do you know? Share with us."
Mm.
And so I think questions can be very powerful. Now, most of us can't do a feed that's all questions, so we'll do a mix. But I think it is a very powerful engagement tool, particularly bringing in these concepts that Carly is so expert at. And then one final thought I wanted to leave you with: the pictures that were chosen for this page, going back to finding a voice for your page, you can pretty much look at these pictures and know roughly. You may not know exactly whose page it was from, but you'll know that one, is Carly, one is Miriam, one is Malcolm, and in many cases, although we may have shared, some of us may have shared those images, you can, the feel of Carly's images, the feel of some of different people have on their pages. I'm much as I try, I will never be as positive as Carly is. So, you'll always see there's different personalities that will come across in the pages, and that's part of what we want to encourage and help everyone to find the voice that's right for them, and which is also part of why we're saying, uh, you know, with sharing, to be sharing the things that work for you. So we are over time, so I'm going to stop the recording if I can figure out how. It wants me to convert the recording, and I don't know what that means, so I will do it later.
Oh, that's the format, probably.
Yeah, it's the format for later, so you can upload it.
AVI, MP4, something like that. Choose AVI.
If you're going to convert it to an MP3 if you're looking just for the audio.
Yeah.
But if you want the video, AVI.
I guess it's not.
Well, there is no. Yeah, for this one, it's interesting. It doesn't record. It doesn't video our faces. It just does. It'll just record the actual slide and voice.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. We're looking for a better platform. However, we didn't want to have the nightmare with Google Hangout, so we did this temporarily until we find the platform that will be best, so that we can have both ends.
Well, if someone has a pain, you can actually use Camtasia to